It began with death, not a quiet, expected death, but a storm. Swift, unseen, and merciless. In the middle of the 14th century, humanity faced an invisible enemy that would change the course of civilization forever. Across continents, families vanished, cities emptied, and fear became the only constant. Bells tolled endlessly, the air thick with the scent of smoke and decay. People whispered about divine punishment, poisoned wells, and curses from the heavens. But this was no act of God's. It was biology, raw, ancient, and ruthless. This was the Black Death. Between 1347 and 1353, the Black Death swept through Europe and Asia, killing an estimated 50 to 60% of the population. That's over 200 million lives lost in just a few years. Entire villages disappeared from the map, empires trembled, and yet one question haunted generations of scholars, historians, and scientists. Where did it begin? For over 600 years, no one knew. To find the answer, we have to travel far from Europe's plague-ridden cities, back through time, to the rugged mountains of Central Asia, to a silent valley near Lake Issyk Kul in modern-day Kyrgyzstan. It's the summer of 1886. A team of Russian archaeologists is digging in two small cemeteries near the village of Kyrgyzstan. Beneath the hard mountain soil, they uncover dozens of ancient gravestones, simple slabs of stone carved with inscriptions in Syriac, the language of an old Christian community that once thrived along the Silk Road. Many of the stones are marked with the same 2 years, 1338 and 1339. And on several of them, one word stands out: pestilence. The archaeologists make careful notes, record the inscriptions, and collect the bones. They ship everything to St. Petersburg for study. Then as decades pass, the evidence fades into obscurity, stored away in museum archives, forgotten by time. It would take over a century for someone to rediscover their secret. Enter Dr. Philip Slavin, a medieval historian at the University of Stirling in Scotland. While researching the economic collapse following the Black Death, Slavin comes across the old excavation records from Kyrgyzstan. The more he reads, the stranger it gets. Over 100 people from a single community had died within just 2 years. An entire generation wiped out. And again, that chilling word appears: pestilence. Slavin suspects it might, but suspicion isn't proof. To confirm it, he'll need help from a new kind of detective. One who can read the past not through parchment and chronicles, but through DNA. At the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology in Germany, scientists are building something extraordinary: a genetic family tree for Yersinia pestis, the bacterium that causes plague. By analyzing more than 1,300 samples from rodents, humans, and archaeological remains, they begin to trace how the disease evolved through time. One of these would become the Black Death, the strain that devastated Europe and continued to cause outbreaks for centuries. But where was the ancestor? When Slavin shares his findings about the Kyrgyzstan graves, the geneticists are intrigued. The dates, the inscriptions, the location, everything fits. The remains could hold the original strain they've been searching for. Together, the teams gain permission to analyze the bones, which have rested in storage since the 1880s. Using sterile techniques, they extract the teeth from 7 individuals. Teeth are ideal for this work. The pulp inside often preserves microscopic traces of blood-borne bacteria, even after centuries. When the samples are tested, the results send shockwaves through the scientific world. 3 of the 7 individuals contain unmistakable DNA from Yersinia pestis. The pestilence mentioned on the gravestones wasn't symbolic. It was the plague, the very same bacterium that would one day sweep across continents. But the story doesn't end there. When the team sequences the complete genome of the bacterium, they compare it to their massive plague database and discover something breathtaking. The strain from Kyrgyzstan isn't just a branch of the family tree, it's the trunk, the ancestral root. It sits at the very center of the Big Bang event. In other words, the graves of Kyrgyzstan mark the exact origin of the Black Death, the point where it all began. With the when and where established, the next question is how. How did a bacterium hidden in the wilds of Central Asia transform into humanity's most feared killer? The answer lies in a natural process called zoonotic spillover, when a disease jumps from animals to humans. The valleys surrounding Lake Issyk Kul are home to marmots, voles, and yerbils. rodents that naturally carry Yersinia pestis in their blood. Under ordinary circumstances, the bacteria circulate quietly among these animals, maintained by flea populations that thrive in their burrows. But sometimes the balance shifts. A sudden change in climate, perhaps a few unusually warm and wet years, can trigger rapid growth in vegetation. More food means more rodents, more fleas, and more opportunities for the plague to spread. Now imagine a hunter trapping marmots for fur or food, handling an infected animal. A single flea bites his hand. The bacterium enters his bloodstream. Within days, he's feverish, delirious, and covered in swollen black buboes. Within a week, he's gone. From one life to the next, the infection spread silently through the community. But this wasn't an isolated mountain village. Kyrgyzstan was a trading settlement on a branch of the Silk Road, a lifeline of commerce stretching thousands of kilometers from China to the Mediterranean. Its people traded pearls, spices, furs, and textiles. And when they set out on their caravans, they carried not only goods, but stowaways, rats, and the fleas that fed on them. The plague hitched a ride on trade itself. As merchants traveled westward, stopping at caravanserais and oases, the disease moved with them. Rats scurried into supplies, fleas leapt to new hosts, and the infection crept across Central Asia. By 1346, it reached the Crimean Peninsula in the port city of Kaffa, then controlled by Genoese traders. During a siege by Mongol forces, the disease erupted in the Mongol camp. In desperation, they hurled the corpses of their own plague-stricken soldiers over the city walls, a grotesque act of early biological warfare. When Genoese ships fled the port, they unknowingly carried the contagion home. Those ships reached Sicily in October 1347. Within weeks, the plague spread through Italy, France, and Spain. Within months, it swept across the continent like wildfire. In cities like Florence, 1 in every 2 people died. In Paris, the dead outnumbered the living. In London, mass graves swallowed thousands at a time. No cure, no understanding, no hope. Europe, already weakened by famine and war, became a continent of ghosts. But even as death consumed the world, the Black Death reshaped it. Labor shortages forced lords to pay workers higher wages. Feudal bonds began to crumble. Art and philosophy turned inward, grappling with mortality. Medicine, primitive though it was, began to shift toward observation and record-keeping, laying early foundations for modern science. And centuries later, that same spirit of inquiry would lead researchers back to the mountains of Kyrgyzstan to finally understand where this story began. The discovery of the ancestral plague strain doesn't just solve a mystery, it connects us to the deep, fragile web that binds humanity to the natural world. A tiny microbe living quietly in rodent blood altered the course of civilization. It reminds us that history is not only shaped by kings or wars, but by invisible forces, bacteria, climate, and chance. Today, as we navigate our own era of global disease and rapid change, this story carries an urgent message. Understanding the past isn't just about curiosity, it's about preparation. By decoding the genetic footprints of ancient pandemics, scientists are learning how pathogens evolve, how they move, and how we can stop them before they rise again. The past is not dead. It speaks through DNA, through stone, through the bones of the forgotten. From a single word etched on a gravestone, pestilence, to the vast data of modern genetics, we've traced the path of one of humanity's darkest chapters. And in doing so, we've discovered something even more profound, that knowledge itself can be our antidote to fear. The story of the Black Death isn't only about the millions who perished, it's about what endured. Our resilience, our curiosity, our unending drive to understand the mysteries that shape our existence. Because as history shows, it takes only one spark, one mutation, one discovery, one moment of connection to change the world. If you have enjoyed this video, then you'll definitely enjoy the one showing on your screen right now. Click it and we'll see you in the next one.